I mean, you tell me if it, because I am willing to bet something on this. Will Antonio Candreva do that again this season? Will he go full Leo Messi and do what he did again this season, or maybe for the rest of his career? He probably will not do that again. I mean, what do you say when you have a guy, when your opponent, who is emerging on 69 years of age, goes and does that? What do you say?
I say good on him. I think I also say good on Roma because, to be honest with you, this is the kind of start that you can imagine, and it's not a great start. It's not a bad start. I've seen worse. It's not a result that hurts my soul and that makes me reconsider a lot of things within this team. It aligns perfectly with where I think this team is, and actually highlights some of the good things that have been done over the summer and over the past 2 years, and some of the things that still need to be resolved and need to be addressed in the long run. But it's match day one. Mm, Roma, without arguably two of their best players on the team in Paulo Dybala and Lorenzo Pellegrini, were able to come back. First, they conceded. Then they came back against obviously a lesser opponent, but an opponent that nonetheless, on match day one, everybody's on equal footing. In my opinion, like even when you take Frosinone and Napoli, put them together, um, it's we're talking the difference right there and then is minimal, just because of like yesterday, we saw Lecce go up and smoke Lazio in those final minutes. Perhaps that doesn't happen in 2 months from now. Um, Same as perhaps 2 months from now, Salernitana are nowhere to be found, or Candreva is out with an injury and he can't help them. And honestly, it's that kind of start that hints at the potential of this team, because it's right there for us to see. And on the previous episode, I said, why can't Andrea Bellotti wake from his slumber? And that he did. um and his performance was not only goals, his performance was also just this sheer pressure on the opponent, this constant, relentless fight for every single ball.
Yes.
One could even argue that, yes, okay, maybe in the final minutes, he needed another attacker up front with him, and that's what's missing.
Well, he did exactly what you asked for, yeah? He turned the clock back. That was the Belotti that pissed us off
That's
when
it.
we faced him so much.
That's the Belotti that we all knew, and he recognized it himself. He said, I really needed to be myself again, because I hadn't felt myself in a lot like myself in a long time." And we could tell. And yesterday was the a player that had a breakthrough. Hopefully, um, it carries over. Yesterday, he could have easily scored a hat trick had they given him a penalty that I think was there for the taking. Um, he was there. He was in full motion, and I think what I take away from this match is that there is a lot more uh, positive performances than the negative ones. I think a lot of people are getting hung up on the negative ones, and honestly, in my view, yesterday the only thing that's missing is Spinazzola being semi decent, which he wasn't. And if Spinazzola is semi decent last night, maybe you're talking about a whole different game, just because up until we continue to play this way, the way we do, putting so much relying so heavily on those wing backs, and a guy like Spinazzola, who's supposed to be the guy, who's supposed to be the one that has quality, who's supposed to be one of those names that the team can rely on game in, game out, just because of his pedigree, because of his quality that we all know. um y- Up until we rely on that, and he continues to provide you with these types of performances, you're always going to be looking to put a band-aid on one side of the pitch, because we know that, for example, Rasmus Christensen is not the A option. The also the his attacking prowess is not on the par of Spinazzola. Spinazzola is known
Right.
for making his runs. Spinazzola, we saw also Spinazzola become better defensively, and yesterday that was a player that clearly had a lot of blackouts, and clearly dealing still with some sort of insecurity that he hasn't been able to get rid of since he recovered from not the main injury that sidelined him for such a long time, but also the more recent ones that took place not less than what 7 months ago. So it's this is he is a player that we should be able to rely on, and the game plan and the formation is meant to make him a pivotal player on the pitch, and yet he's not, and I think, but aside from that, I think there's just a lot of good things to take away from this. The fact that Belotti was the Belotti that we all know and love. The fact that in the absence of Paulo Dybala and Hussein Mawar, Roma were still able to drive the ball forward. And you had some really good plays with Hussein Mawar breaking up the play of Salernitana. And I think once Pellegrini is back, once Dybala is back, his role will also change. This is a player that is still figuring out where he can be useful for Mourinho, where he can be the most effective. Yesterday, I thought he focused more on the defensive side of the ball. I think that was his task. And once Pellegrini is back, once Dybala is back, maybe he will be able to push forward behind Andrea Bellotti. Then we had Leandro Paredes, Renato Sanchez come in. That's always welcome, when you're able to throw the guys immediately into the mix, uh, and and that they show you that you have options and you have a certain kind of range of maneuver that allows you to adapt, to change, to switch things up, to make things less predictable. I think what even Renato Sanchez showed just in that brief cameo points to a player that, if healthy, could help you solve a number of problems,
Yes.
and could help compensate for exactly maybe the lack of a reliable attacking department, or a limited attacking department.